Alex and the Tentacle Monster. Alex opened his eyes to an ominous black sky speckled with stars and a waning moon. His head ached with a hangover, and his body still felt strange from the effects of the tobacco he had smoked the day before. Was it even tobacco? He was beginning to wonder. Now to see if his body actually worked, or if he was still under paralysis from the smoke's neurotoxins. Alex started by wiggling his fingers. All seemed well enough. Then he sat up, which caused his head to spin. He had to clutch the sides of it to make the world stand still, feeling like he might retch at any moment. Alex was laying in the middle of the forest, fully clothed and seemingly unscathed. What happened to the giant mushroom, or the genie for that matter? Had it all been just a bad dream? If it had, that wouldn't explain the fact that the trees around him were miles high and the grass reached over his head. No, Alex was still in Wonderland, and he would have to go see the Demon of Hearts if he wanted to get out. Stupid fucking white rabbit, Alex grumbled while he tried to remember everything the genie had told him. It's a long way to the Demon of Hearts. Look to the moon for direction, and follow the second star to the right. You have many miles to travel, and many perils await you on your journey, the genie had said. But he hadn't said how far, just that it would be a long journey. Alex groaned as he pulled himself to his feet. Stumbling for a bit, he had to lean against a tall blade of grass to steady himself. I'm never smoking again, he vowed as he began walking through the jungle of grass. If Alex had ever walked farther, he couldn't remember a time. The forest seemed never ending, and never changing as well. All the grass looked the same, and a few times Alex wondered if he had been walking in circles. It wasn't until the moon receded and the sun arose that Alex finally broke through the grass, giving way to a large wall of dirt that seemed to span either way as far as the eye could see. Maybe this is the border to where the Demon of Hearts lives, Alex thought as he began climbing. But when he reached the summit, all that lay before him was a jungle of flowers. It was beautiful, the reds and yellows and purples, marigolds and lilies and carnations, baby's breath, and a whole slew of other flowers whose species were unknown to him. At least it's a change of scenery, Alex sighed as he began climbing down the other side of the dirt hill to get to the garden. The flowers provided lots of shades from the sweltering morning sun. They seemed to look down on him in a very peculiar way, and Alex couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. Strange noises that followed behind him only worked to elevate his paranoia. But when he turned to see where they were coming from, there was nothing there. The buzzing of enormous wings caused Alex to take cover under a tulip as a giant butterfly fluttered overhead. He shielded his eyes from the sun while he peered up at the strangeness of it. Instead of normal wings, they were slices of bread, and instead of a regular insect torso, its body was a stick of butter. Alex quickly became aware of a hunger he hadn't noticed before, and for a few brief minutes, he tried to concoct a plan to snatch the insect from the sky, but the butterfly was at least twice his size, and with nothing but giant flowers at his disposal, there was no foreseeable way he would be able to capture it. Alex sighed as he proceeded, his headache now replaced with nagging hunger pangs. He had read that some flowers were edible, but he didn't know which ones. It wasn't worth the risk of poisoning himself to try to figure it out on his own, though. Knowing Alex's luck, the first one he tried would make him keel over dead within seconds. Hopefully, the Demon of Hearts would be just beyond the garden, and he would be more hospitable than his name implied. After several more miles, the scent of salt began mingling with the aroma of flowers, and Alex was almost certain he could hear waves crashing against rock. Dread filled him with thoughts that he might be headed in the wrong direction. The genie didn't mention anything about him having to cross the ocean. Then again,